I'm about to make a lot of people mad because I'm going to give my opinion on an art thing that I've seen lots of artists do. It doesn't have so much to do with the art as it does with the business side of things. About 2 months ago, I came across this tweet. At the time, I talked about it on Twitter, which was a mistake, but I didn't find it to be video worthy. Let's take a look at what the tweet says. This tweet has a screenshot of an email correspondence that this artist had with a potential client. The client said, "Hello, I wanted to know if your commissions are open?" Smiley face. The artist responds, "Hiya, yes, my commissions are currently open if you would like one. Here's my price list." The potential client responded, "I would like one, yes," smiley face. "I'd like my D&D character in bust, please. I wanted to commission another artist, but their commissions weren't open, so if you could do it in their style," and "do it in their style" has a red circle around it and says, "Do not do this," in all caps. That would be great. I attached some of their work too for reference, or you can just look them up on Instagram to see what their art style looks like. The tweet then reads, "Don't do this. If you don't want my art, then don't commission me. I'm happy to draw your character, but I'm not gonna replicate another artist's style just because they're out of your price range / unavailable. It's rude and disrespectful not only to me, but the other artist." The thread continues. "I think the funniest part is my style and the other artist's style are nothing alike. This sentence is not a question. They've been drawing a lot longer and are insanely more talented than I am, and do highly fine line detailed artwork. I'm not mocking this person for having a different opinion than me, I'm mocking them for using passive aggressive question marks." Now this tweet showed up on my timeline, and it rubbed me the wrong way for many different reasons. First of all, when did the potential client ever say that the artist they originally wanted to commission was out of their price range? All they said was that their commissions weren't open. Second of all, it's incredibly rude and petty to even talk about something like this as an artist. For the next segment of the video, let's assume that what the potential client did is wrong. Okay, why did the artist post their private conversation to a public website? I would be more understanding if the potential client was rude, abusive, etc. But they were incredibly polite, and at no point did it seem like they meant any harm. The correct way to react to a situation like this is to respond to the potential client and politely explain to them why what they said is wrong. They may not know that what they did is wrong, and they may have the best intentions. This artist did say in this Twitter thread that that is exactly what they did. But this artist also took a screenshot of their private conversation, granted the name is censored, and posted it to all their followers with an extremely passive, aggressive, and rude Twitter thread to go along with it. As Multi points out, it's definitely uncouth, but like, is it not enough to correct the person and move on? Why the giant, get a load of this, pile on thread? I definitely made worse mistakes about artists when I was younger. The artist responds, "I replied to the email respectfully and pointed out his mistake. I made the tweet for the exact purpose of the first line of it, to tell people that aren't aware. Like you said, younger people make mistakes. That this is a disrespectful thing to do to artists, and to not do it." I don't think that this artist made people aware not to do this, but rather made people scared to ever commission from them again. Now, everybody knows that if you say even the slightest thing that the artist could perceive as bad or offensive, they will screenshot it and expose you on Twitter. I'd personally rather commission someone I know would never do something like that. Someone I know would never publicly shame me for making an honest mistake. Because like I said earlier, the potential client wasn't being rude in any way whatsoever, and probably had no idea that asking someone to draw in a specific way was a bad thing. The artist continues, "None of the replies are, quote unquote, a giant pile on thread. Nobody is attacking the person in question, and nobody knows who they are. I never once implied that they were to be criticized and scrutinized. All I said was, don't do this, and explained why." First of all, yes, this entire thread is a pile-on thread. Let's take a look at some of the replies. "Ew, I got the heebie-jeebies seeing this. A prime example of a choosing beggar." "No, it's not. The potential client never mentioned anything about price, just that the artist they originally wanted to commission was not open for commissions. I've been asked to do this, and someone else was asked to replicate mine as well. It's very uncomfortable and rude on all ends. This sentence isn't a question. Go to the artist whose style you want. Just go. Wait or save up. It's not hard. Eyeball emoji. Ask for a spot in the queue." Once again, I'm not mocking this person for their opinion, by the way. I'm mocking them for using passive-aggressive question marks in a sentence that is not a question. How does being asked to draw in a certain way make this person uncomfortable? Are they really that sensitive? Just politely say no and move on. Should have just sent this as a reply. Harry Potter and the audacity of this. None of the replies are, quote unquote, a giant pile on thread, a giant pile on thread, a giant pile on thread, a giant pile on thread. extremely rude and should be shamed. I can sort of understand if maybe they want it in your style, but like a chibi for a profile pic. But to ask them to reflect another artist's art style is uncalled for and out of line. There's a Twitter meme going around where you draw your friends' OCs in their style or your own OC in their style. Why is that okay, but this isn't? I thought art styles were sacred. There is such a huge double standard here. Why is one of these okay, but the other one isn't? That's horrible. I didn't think people could ask for this. I'm shocked, really. Hey everyone, quick announcement. Only a few seconds, it only lasts a few seconds. If you like what you're watching, support me on Patreon, just $1 per month. That's all it takes. Link down below. You get access to videos 24 hours early, so on and so forth. Become a patron today, link down below. Hell yeah, all the patrons are on the screen. Hope you enjoy. Become a patron, link down below. Yay, woo, thank you. Holy, the level of disrespect and lack of consideration. I hope that person feels ashamed after, or at least sees the error of what they said, because that's just so bad. I'm literally the audacity of some people I genuinely do not understand. Ew, no, no sir. This is not what we gon' do, not today. Thank you for sharing, Jess. Hashtag rude as hell. This is so offensive. I wouldn't have hidden the cheeky hit's name. It's like saying I really like this guy's work. He's too expensive, so you'll have to do without any respect to your work. Moral of the story, artists are not a production line. It's never just putting pencil to paper. Once again, price was never mentioned. This is like the worst thing you could do to an artist. This makes them feel like the only reason they're wanted is to emulate other artists' style when those artists are unavailable. Yeah, this is the worst possible thing you could do to an artist. I'm baffled and disgusted that this is actually something that people do. I'm so sorry you had to deal with this. Just, why the people ask this? It is the worst thing I've ever seen. Yes, worse than Hurricane Katrina. That's what fire was made for, to burn the wicked. Now, I know this is a joke, but this person is joking about burning this potential client alive. Is it really that serious? I mean, come on. Holy that's rude. Are people being raised in barns again? And many more. And the most dramatic response in this thread: no one can copy another person's style. It's in our DNA to draw a certain way. How you make lines or how you shade. It's futile to ask someone to draw something in another artist's style to the letter. So yeah, this isn't a pile-on thread, right? It doesn't matter if nobody knows who the potential client is. The replies in this thread are extremely passive-aggressive and mean, and they're all dogging on this person. People are acting like this is the worst thing to ever happen in human history. The amount that people are overreacting and over-dramatizing what happened is very similar to the way that infomercial actors react to dropping their dish soap.
Dispensers are messy and clumsy, and with dish soap bottles, you really need an extra set of hands.
Could you imagine being the potential client and seeing this huge thread of people shaming and mocking you? Even though their name is censored, this person could have been a huge fan of the artist, and the artist disregarded that and publicly shamed them. This is something that nobody on the internet knows how to do anymore. But put yourself in the potential client's shoes. You are a fan of this artist's work, and the artist just goes and humiliates you publicly. I would be devastated in that situation. Second of all, yes, this artist did imply that the potential client was to be criticized and scrutinized, because that's exactly what the artist did by making this tweet in the first place. Criticizing and scrutinizing them. This entire thread reeks of sensitivity and entitlement from so many artists who replied to this thread. A perfect example is this. I had somebody ask me to do this with a plush once, and I blocked them immediately. It's so disrespectful and slimy, so please don't be that person with commissions. I personally think blocking them is a bit much and doesn't tell them what they did wrong, in my opinion, but yeah, it is indeed disrespectful. Don't commission an artist for someone else's art. SMH. Imagine blocking someone because they asked you to draw a certain way, when your job is literally to draw in a certain way for clients. How these people even have clients is what really baffles me. After seeing all this, I decided to make a tweet myself. Don't do this. When you make a tweet that says, "Don't do this," followed by a screenshot of someone saying something you don't like in private DMs, then publicly ridicule them for it. It makes you look like a self-righteous who thinks they're better than everyone else. I censored out the name of the original tweeter. There were a lot of people who agreed with what I said and a lot of people who disagreed with what I said. I went back and forth with a few people and had some genuinely good discussions with fair points in favor of the artist, but I had to just agree to disagree with some people. That's what I think makes the internet such a great place when used properly, is that you're exposed to opinions you otherwise normally wouldn't be, and you can discuss them with people who are willing to discuss. It makes everyone smarter. And that leads me to the final segment of this video, where I give my own opinion. A controversial opinion. Now, I want to explain why the potential client in this situation didn't do anything wrong. This is why it's now video worthy. This is an opinion I haven't seen much in every single other creative industry. It is standard and common to ask people to create things in a certain way. For example, my video editors. They are not my employees. Commission them every single time they edit a video because they're freelance workers. I tell them to edit in my style and I tell them exactly what I want. Sometimes I give examples of other people's work and tell them I want something similar to that. When I do that, I'm asking them to edit in someone else's style. Does that make me an evil person for daring to tell my editors how to edit? If a company hires you to create a graphical ad, such as a billboard or a flyer, they will often give you examples of other ads that have been successful, and they'll ask you to create something similar to that. Does that make them evil? If you work for an animation studio, like Pixar, you'll be expected to animate in the style of the production that's currently being produced. Does that make them evil? If you hire a music producer to make music for a game, a movie, or any other product, you will tell them exactly what genre it needs to be, what BPM it needs to be, what mood it needs to have. Does that make you an evil person? Why is there such a double standard when it comes to art? It's the only creative industry where I've seen people react so negatively to being told how to create something by a paying customer. That is the industry standard in all other creative industries. As an artist, you don't need to draw anything that you don't want to draw. You're allowed to say no and set boundaries for what you're willing to create. But for you to villainize people for simply asking you to draw in a different style is frankly just childish, and it shows that you aren't ready or capable to enter the world of business. You need to be mature enough to say no without complaining on Twitter to all your followers and causing unnecessary conflict. I'd say that classifying it as rude and disrespectful goes a bit too far. If you wish to draw only in your style, that's great and you should correct them. I don't believe it's insulting to merely suggest trying to draw one's character in a style similar to someone else though. I agree. My personal philosophy is that they are paying for the finished product. If they want something that I'm not used to, I'll either adjust the price accordingly or decline. I won't shame them. This is what I'm saying. It would be one thing if the potential client didn't ask, but told the artist to draw in a way that they are not used to, but they were polite and asking an industry standard question. It's not like he was trying to get free art or demanding someone draw NSFW. He was a paying customer asking a simple question. There's no need to be rude in response to that. In conclusion, even if this was a bad thing to do, you are hugely overreacting to what is, frankly, a very minor thing. Ignore them and move on. The reaction you're giving is 100% uncalled for, and it's much more rude and brash than anything the potential client said. Something that I've learned in my career of being a professional online influencer is that making private drama public is always the worst option. It's the option that people tend to lean towards for whatever reason. I've learned that the hard way, but it seems like this artist has not learned that the hard way yet. The best course of action, in my opinion, would have been to respond politely to this person and politely explain why you think what they said was wrong. Making this public only polarizes people and creates unnecessary drama. I know that many of the artists watching this are gonna reply in the comments below with nasty, passive-aggressive, rude comments, all because I have an opinion they don't like. But now that I've said that, they're gonna respond with very well-mannered, well-thought-out comments explaining why I'm wrong. But now that I've said that, they're probably just not gonna leave a comment at all. They're probably just gonna spread it on Twitter and say, get a load of this guy. He's not even an artist. What's funny is that a lot of these artists are not YouTubers. So how can they have an opinion about my video if they're not YouTubers? So that argument doesn't work. This is not drama. This is not a call out video. This is my opinion about an art thing that I see. And this is just one specific example of a big issue, which is artists overreacting to everything unnecessarily and being rude to people for asking questions, you know? They have a sense of entitlement that's kind of insane. Not all artists, but a lot that I see on the internet. There's lots of cool artists out there, believe you me. I know several of them, but this is just one specific example of a culture that I've seen within the art community on the internet, and it needs to be stopped. It needs to go away. If you enjoyed what you watched and you want to see more of me, check out my second channel, What's This, all about traveling and stuff. Here's a short little preview for you. When one person drops out, it's like a domino effect, right? One down, another one goes, I'm gonna go to college also. So I was left by myself, and I was like, well, I can't afford an apartment by myself. The plan was to have all three of us afford it together, because we could have done it. And now I'm left with nobody. So I decided to go to the same college as one of the two friends there. It was in the middle of nowhere in Kansas. Now, I knew that I wanted to be a musician. If you enjoyed that, you can click right up here. That'll take you straight to that channel. You can subscribe and ping the bell over there for notifications. Everyone who's watching, subscribe to the second channel. Every single one of you. Right now. Do it right now. Bye!